So what matters now? What matters now? Every moment has its meaning. Every instant of experience, if we are aware, is yielding a truth. That truth has two phases. Each is legitimate. Each has beauty, and they are linked. There is not the way of the earth and the rejection of pie in the sky. There is not the way of the spirit and the rejection of the earth. In the true sense, there is the knowing of the whole. What is the whole? To state the obvious, the whole is the totality. One of the good and necessary words of our time is holistic. And it is related to wholeness and holiness. To be made whole is to be made into a state of well-being. Because in wholeness all things are in their right balance. And there is a right balance. The terminology is variable, but the most convenient terminology is the balance of body, mind and spirit. Or head, heart and hara. Or brain, breath and earth. Every moment yields a truth if we would know it. Every moment carries with it an unseen blossom. It's a blossom which can intensify and bring birth to our understanding if we bring to that moment the energy of our awareness, our untrammeled awareness, not our concentration, not our thinking process, but our awareness, attention sans thought, as far as that can happen. The uncreated light that is the origin of the universe is without limit, without dimension, uncontainable by any invention, by any concept, by any imaginings of the human brain, however well trained we may be. But there is a fundamental polarity. It is expressed, in one sense, by the energy inherent in every organism for radiation and gravitation. In which there is also the energy of extension and the energy of contraction, aditi and diti. So the all-pervading uncreated light manifests primally as it were an alternating current, and that alternating current receive life and return to the source. That alternating current expresses itself unconsciously in the fundamental life force of every breathing being. We do not say, we cannot say, the in-breath, the aspiration is glorious. I don't want to know about the out-breath. And we cannot say the out-breath is so significant. The in-breath, by comparison, has no meaning. We can't say that. The uncreated light manifests the regenerative seed of all being from itself into itself, which is its manifestation. But in nature there is no such thing as a straight line. So the outgoing is also the returning. The returning is the ascending light that pervades nature, striving through the density of substance to provoke, to promote, to intensify the return to the source, the symptoms of which we call evolution. Do you see what I mean? That rising light, some would call Kundalini. That rising light is spiraling upwards, is lifting up everything to prompt moreness, to prompt enlarging, to prompt the flowering. It will lift all things upwards. If it's a small plant, it will lift a paving stone. in order to find the sun. This is innate on every level. Whether our brains approve it or not, or like it or not, oppose it or foster it, is of no consequence. It happens. It is a fact of life. Light rising up to become more, and in the process to see more, to be more, and thus to know more. An unending aspiration. Now this will work through the dormant memories of the human race. It will work through the collective samskaras. It will work through everything. And it will say to us here and now, know thyself, be thyself, see thyself, because what you are is everything that has gone before, and all the strivings, all the sacrifice, all the yearnings, all the sufferings, all the glories of past phases of history, all the achievements and all the failures, they all have meaning because they are you. And if you would know you, if you would know life, if you would know nature, you must find that light that is working through the many strata, including the strata of buried thought, including the revival of the significance of the dreams that come, because they are the meaning of myth, and because they are what we need to know about the understanding of what has been and how that understanding, through exposure to our awareness, can find release, can, through our awareness, tap the trapped blockages of the past, which are buried but which burn and rage under the surface. Penetrate the meanings, raise it up, and give it release. And in that release, all things will be vitalized. Because the flow is not there, it is buried. The toxic past needs to be looked at with the eye of pure understanding. The eye of that pure understanding is born when we have the need and therefore the capacity to sit and see, and by seeing, be free. The light that is born when we are empty of self-centeredness is the light which seeks to link with its own light, its own nature, struggling upwards, and in struggling, releasing the toxic past for the regeneration of all things. So to be now, yes, but in being now, nature will then say, you haven't manifested this comprehension merely for the luxury of your own personal pleasure. You are part of life. You are life. Life is claiming you to serve the greater life. In so doing, if the inner eye is opened, if the ray of being is reaching through you, it will link with what has been, and what has been will rise up to become one with the seer who has vision, creative vision. And the seer will become the catalyst that releases the trapped and toxic past into a transformation that is most urgently needed in the here and now. Do you see? If we're only looking as curiosity mongers, or as people seeking a diversion, as they would if they went to the cinema or played bridge, or the other things that people do. What are those other things that people do? There are many of them. If it were only that, it would be just compounding the futility. Playing games, diverting from the essentials of life, either the practical essentials I would rather indulge myself in this way or that way. When the world, planet Earth, is on the edge of a precipice, and multitudes are deprived or in peril, 2/3 of the world's population are undernourished, vast numbers starving. There's that level. Or there's the level of questing in the deeper sense, which has potency on the causal level. So, it's not an idle game. When the light arises in us, the question then is, whither? Not why, but whither. We need to ask why, but not immediately. If the light arises in us, our understanding must proceed to where wisdom would lead. Wisdom is a lamp that will illumine the caverns within which dwell the lost treasures of the human spirit. Wisdom would descend into Hades, into the hell beyond the hells, wisdom would tame the dragons, overcome the demons, and cause that which is lost, which is trapped in the dungeon, to become free. I come to set the prisoners free. In doing this, it is incomplete to say, I dwell in the here and now. Full stop. That has no meaning. What has meaning is, I am now. And because I am now, I am not, for there is no time. And because the eternal light is now born, this vessel is no longer the property of a preposterous usurper, the false image of ourself. This vessel is now at the disposal and is possessed by the true claimant, the Buddhic being that is our essential nature. I say essential because essence. The Essenic essence is now the flame of wisdom blazing within the frame that is ourself. that understanding has its own purposes. That true possessor of our being has its own purposes, its own dharma, its own means of sacrifice and therefore service. It comes to sacrifice. It is both the sacrificer and the sacrifice. And our truth is to be the altar on which the sacrifice occurs. The Agni and the cup. That is then the altar of our attuned and sacrificial Dharma. The sacrificer is our deeper being. The altar is our organic structure. And that which is sacrificed is the blockage that contains our understanding. And our pain is then the breaking of the shell that encloses that understanding. And it will focus in art, it will focus in religion. It will focus in the great stories and the great music. Wherever the flame of inspiration has flashed. The incarnation is ongoing if we are attuned to the meaning of incarnation. If the meaning of incarnation is revealed here and now in the human being who dares to say, I will be the sacrifice. I am the handmaid of the Lord, do unto me as thou wilt. And in all this is the parable of the past, a huge agglomeration of energy buried within the samskaras, the story, the dream. The manifest compression, distortion, ugliness, darkness and potentiality of everything that has been before. If wisdom leads, then let it enter the dungeons of the past, and let the rising light unite with the benediction of the wisdom flow through truly attuned humankind. Then shall liberation occur for all the earth. We cannot say it's here and now or it's up there. Wisdom will lead where our comprehension cannot immediately validate. And this is where sacrifice must acquire a fuller meaning. Wisdom is the light, the life, the truth, and the way. Let it be unto us as it wills.